Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are around this beautiful planet of ours. If you want to make it that little more special, smash up the like button down below. Today's video, let's look at altcoin buying. When is the best time to buy and how to avoid getting destroyed in the markets with altcoins. If you haven't already, smash up the subscribe and bell notification icon. I'll remind you at the end of the video as well, in case you want to wait to see if you're getting some value from the content. Now, this is really important, especially at this point in the market, because we are so low already with the prices of cryptocurrencies. However, the old saying is, if we go down 80%, there's nothing stopping us going down another 80%. So we want to identify the best times to be buying altcoins for those longer term swing trades. Now, I'll get into that in a little more detail because my vision and opinion with cryptocurrencies is that there's still only a handful that are worth holding for a longer period of time, but the vast majority of them should absolutely 100% be dumped as soon as possible to take those profits. This has been my position throughout the entire 2021 bull market. I was hated for it at the tops of the market, but I guess now in the bear market, everyone can see why. You know, I went through it in 2017. I held the shit coins to the lows, reposition my portfolio, made sure I got out of it so that I could be fresh for the next bull market. And I think we're starting to fall into that period now. However, the good news is we still have a fair bit of time, even if we see a little bounce from this area that we're in. Maybe the little bounce feels huge, maybe it doesn't. But the main thing is that we still have some time. So we have time to prepare for the next stage without getting destroyed with dollar cost averaging into altcoins. So let's take a look at that in today's video, looking at two specific indicators that are pretty easy to use. One is the TIA Gann swing indicator. This is this yellow zigzag line here. You can find a link to this in the video description. I left it down there. And the other thing is just simply using some time measures. So it's simply using a fib time zone and then also this tool right down here, the date ranges, just measuring ranges in months. So I want to make this as super easy and simple as possible, not getting complicated whatsoever, just looking at time frames and basically support and resistance areas that give us significant breakout points. The idea for today's video came from one of you guys, one of the viewers here, from James. Not to point anyone out, not having to go at anyone. This is very common thought and misconception of the market. Obviously, from my analysis and in my opinion, based on the data that I've seen and the cycles that I've been through. So in James's opinion, you could accumulate any top 20 coin right now and be way in the money a couple of years from now. And so I've just responded, you know, it's fair thought. However, historically, it hasn't worked out so well. So that's what I'll look at now. Let's take a look back in time over the last 9 years of Octobers very briefly. Top coins here were Bitcoin, XRP, Litecoin, and the rest of them you'd never have heard of. And there was only 38 coins back in 2013 here. We can see the next year in 2014, Bitcoin, XRP, Litecoin, and a few others that are just starting to pop their heads through. A bit of Dogecoin, bit of Dash. Some people know Monero. BitShares is still around, but not really. Stellar is up there, and so forth. So that's just 8 years ago. 2015. Bitcoin, XRP, Litecoin. But you'll start to see a trend after this first bull market in 2017. What happens to these cryptocurrencies? Again, Dash, Doge, Stellar are up there as well. And the rest of these you'll start to see basically float out and never be heard of again. So this is the top 20 we're looking at as well. The rest of the top 20 you wouldn't have heard of. 2016, Bitcoin, ETH is now there. XRP, Litecoin, Classic, Dash, Steam, NEM, Factum was a huge one back then. Waves was a huge one. Doge is up there. But yeah, the rest of them basically all the way down. See a coin pops its head up every so often. And there's old Tether at $7 million market cap. 2017, so this is now getting to the peak of the market. Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, etc., etc. IOTA was one of the darlings back then. BitConnect, if anyone remembers that, absolute one of the biggest Ponzi schemes that we have ever seen in cryptocurrency. Zcash, Waves, etc. Stratus, one of the biggest coins that everyone had to have back then. Now, no one would have heard of it in 2021. 2018, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. You can see Litecoin start to drop down. XRP still holding the ground, but look at 2018. XRP is still now 40 odd cents. Litecoin, $52. Look at 2017. Litecoin, $53. You're starting to get a bit of a idea and understanding here of what has happened to a lot of these coins over the years. We now go to 2020 in the move out of the bear market. So we had the bull market, the bear market. Now we're starting to pull out of the bear market here. Bitcoin, ETH, Tether, XRP, Litecoin is now down here at $50. There's DOT, a few other names that we have now heard of, BNB, Chainlink. So these are the darlings of the 2021 bull market. Some of these from the 2017, 2018 bull market, EOS, are just starting to fade. Tron, Tezos, Neo, that was the top 20 just before the start of the 2021 bull market. Neo was still up there, and I guarantee you most people have never heard of Neo, nor do they care what it's about, because it's pretty much down the bottom of the list. The same deal with IOTA, one of the big ones. 2021, obviously, this is the absolute peak of the bull market. We had the peak just a few weeks later in November. ADA, so Cardano, XRP, Solana, where is old Litecoin? Down here at $1,575. And that brings us to today, the top 20 as well. So could we pick anything out of this top 20 right now and still be safe with it in a few years' time? Well, I think you probably know where I'm going with this. And my absolute answer is no. We could not pick almost anything out of the top 20 and be safe with it into the next bull market, the next altcoin season. Bitcoin has obviously proven the test of time. It's what cryptocurrency is all about now. Ethereum, pretty much, it's almost there as well. Obviously the stable coins, but no one wants to hold stable coins because you don't make gains from them, of course, unless it was USD against all other fiat currencies. But for now, we'll wait and see. BNB might be another mainstayer at the top, but the rest, unsure. Dogecoin has proven a little bit that it is a good meme coin, but we may not see the rest of these during the next bull market. And if you don't believe me, have a look at Litecoin. So this is the example here of just picking up anything in the top 20 at the lows, and you should be in the money. Now, sure, it depends what you feel like the money is, or what we know being in the money to be. Is it, do you want to be up a fair bit, or you just want to be treading water at $54 for Litecoin now, or 2 years ago it was at $60 to $43 at a close of 55, or 3 years ago it was at $58, or 4 years ago it was at $49, or 5 years ago it was at $55. So sure, you're in the money, you could be up $1 or $2 on your Litecoin, but I'm sure most of you will want to have more than just a couple of percent to show over the last 2 to 5 years of holding your cryptocurrencies. And if we want to make matters worse, if we had just held Litecoin, our BTC value on that same amount of money would have dramatically been wrecked. It would have been down a hell of a lot. If we look at the price back from 2013 to where it currently is, it's down 92% against Bitcoin. That's the same as holding your US dollars, and instead of buying Bitcoin with your USD, you're basically down 90 odd percent. You could have bought Bitcoin for $100 several years ago, and now you find it at $20,000. You think, damn, I should have just put that $100 into Bitcoin. It's the same sort of deal holding any of these other altcoins. You just don't know if they're going to be all the way down against their BTC value in a couple of years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. So firstly, let's look at timing. Now, there's two pieces of the timing. First is how long until we actually get a breakout, and secondly is how long will the breakout take. Now, I've got some of the measures here of the previous breakouts on Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So I'm just going to use some of the charts that have the most amount of data, and cryptos that have been through at least one full cycle, and I'd rather use something that's been through at least 2 cycles, hopefully 3. But we really only have stuff here that's been through 2 cycles, unless you're looking at Litecoin, which has been through multiple cycles and has not performed very well at all. It's basically been down the entire time, whereas ETH BTC so far has been through 2 cycles. We're nearly at the end of the 2nd cycle, and it has continued to rise. You can see the difference here. It's still holding up its value. So in terms of the timing to the upside, basically the breakout points for ETH versus Bitcoin, basically getting into altcoins. We'll look for the breakout signal, but how long do those moves generally take? How long do you want to hold an altcoin for before selling it in an altcoin season? Well, if we just look at history, especially on Ethereum versus Bitcoin, just a couple of altcoin seasons here, then we know each of these altcoin seasons have only lasted a matter of a few months. At the most, 6 months. So you can see the 6 bars here. Now we're just rounding these numbers up. If we go down to weeks, it could be slightly shorter. But the main thing is we just want to be aware of how long some of these seasons can take. And then the breakout into those seasons might not be until a couple of months into that specific move. For example, going into 2017, the first bull market there, the low was essentially December 2016. January is around the same price, February is around the same price, and then you had 1, 2, 3, 4 months of explosive moves against BTC value. And then after that point, you didn't need to be in these altcoins anymore. And the next move was December into February. So you had 2 months, basically one major month, 6 weeks or so of explosive moves. You can see it's December to February, but within that, probably only about 6 weeks or so that the holding of that altcoin was really worthwhile for those gains before the market basically faded out, and we would have been better in Bitcoin, which of course also went down in that period, or holding the stable coins. Earlier on, 3 months here in that first move, this was out of the bear market low for Bitcoin. So altcoins had a little bit of a run there. That was 3 months. So we got 3, 6, 2 months, and we got 5 months going in from December 2020 into the peak of May 2021, our most recent one. And recently with the merger news, basically 2.5 or so months from June 2022 into September, which is basically the end of August there of 2022. So a few months up there, reasonable gains to be had. But it depends on what type of trader you want to be as well when it comes to your altcoins. Are you holding them in the short term, medium term, or long term? You want to be passive, not even thinking about them ever again, just buy and hold and not worry. If that's you want to be completely passive, I'd probably say Bitcoin or Ethereum at this stage, or potentially BNB. They're the only ones that have really been going up against their BTC values that have some sort of use case surrounding them at the moment. But it's cryptocurrency. I honestly don't think anything should be that passive, be holding them for several years without ever looking at the markets and following the chart to see whether they are on a declining stage, like a declining pattern here, just like Litecoin. A lot of people would have thought you could hold Litecoin forever, but it's not showing up like that in the charts. And ETH at the moment is at least converging here with higher lows and lower highs, but it still hasn't proven that big breakout just yet. So we've established that we only want to be holding altcoins for a short period of time, generally speaking, across the course of the cycle. And that's because they are much higher risk. They haven't proven anything, as much as they love to tell us that they are doing X, Y, and Z, going to save the world, etc., etc. The smart money, the people who are buying it with the big bucks, are showing us otherwise. They are not buying it and holding it forever. It is basically a trade for them, whether it's a course of minutes, hours, days, maybe even months, but eventually they all get sold off against BTC or stablecoins. Now, we've got to establish when is the time to be buying these sorts of coins. So we understand we only want to hold them for a short period of time, but we want to know when do we actually get into these cryptos. So we're going to use Bitcoin and the Bitcoin cycle. For ETH, we only have really one full bear market to show here. We're starting to form our second bear market, but we don't have that much data to look at, so we'll use what we can. And December 18 was essentially the bottom of the Bitcoin bear market. That was the low of the Bitcoin price. And so I'm using that low, and you can see that there was another several months after that low of Bitcoin dropping to $3,100 before ETH finally put a low in against its BTC value, which happened in about September of 2019. And sure, there was a lot of hype and FOMO in between that. Bitcoin went on a run into June of 2019, and the rest of the market got excited and prices all went up. But overall, when we look at the macro, not just the short term, but the macro, the prices still went down. It stayed down for several months after that. To the next low was 13 months. We started to get a little bit of a higher low form 17 months later. The monthly high low came in here at 24 months from the Bitcoin bottom. So that's 2 years. And then it finally got that big move out in January of 2021. Next higher low, 27 months later, and then the peak came in 29 months later. So really a lot of the action happened between December 2020 and May 2021. So all of 5 months. And so if we think the low is in June of Bitcoin, we can measure forward approximately 9 months to get to the next lows for altcoins against their Bitcoin value, which then leads us into another accumulation period, which could take several months into the higher low. So from 9 months to 24 months is 15 months later, and then the breakout comes. So of course, this is just looking back in history and doesn't have to happen exactly the same, But even if we look at this data, it shows that it does take quite a long time for altcoins to start to reposition themselves with some sort of strength. A narrative has to form, and this takes time for altcoins to pump. If there's no narrative behind them, they're not just going to pump and reach those old all-time highs or go on a big move to make the gains. Something has to build, and that takes time. Now, this occurs across almost all altcoins. There's going to be some differences in between, like we saw with the DeFi summer in 2020. But overall, there is going to be a period of time where they just have to build another case for the reason for them to boom again, to basically go to the moon, right? So 21 months is what we've seen here from the peak of BNB, BTC, all the way to the bottom back in January of 2021. So very similar to what ETH had. So nearly 2 years there before it went on this mega run, 4 months from bottom to top. Previous to this, it's gone on a 5 month, a 6 month, with a few in-betweens as well. So 2 months, 1 month down, 2 months up, 1 month down, 2 months up. Very similar patterns there. You can see here we had the low, 1 month up, and there was a bit of a rejection there after a month, 6 weeks. Then we went up again for about another 2 months. So it's a very simple pattern there. Recently, we've gone on a significant run here on BNB, BTC within the bear market. So we might be seeing an outlier here. So keep your eyes peeled for something like this. And that leads me on to where to buy these cryptocurrencies. We've covered the timing of them. Timing is really important. Otherwise, we can get swept away in the FOMO and these things are going to the moon forever. But like we've seen, and hopefully you're starting to see that now for yourself, that it only lasts so long. The moon journey, the trip to the moon, is very, very short-lived once they break out. And the breakout points that I'm looking for are the Gann swing indicator. So we want to see where these cryptocurrencies form an accumulation before they break out. And this really, really simply shows you the tops of the range and the bottoms of the range. You can start to see higher swing bottoms compared to the previous swings. And as they break out of those swings, that's when you get a nice move to the upside. So if we use the previous cycle here on BNB, we can pretty quickly see that, that the market was forming its accumulation. It had one final dump into December, January, before the market took off from that point. So even if we were late or missing it, we can always hit some alerts to tell us that the market is on the move. And so if you're starting to think, well, this thing is dumping off, I don't have to worry about it anymore, think again. Put your alerts on where the tops of the monthly swings are, and that will alert you to the fact that maybe this coin is on the move and the alt season has now begun for those particular altcoins that are breaking out of significant accumulation patterns. ETH BTC, another clean example of that. This was the low, so that's the December 2018 low for the bear market. And you can see just for the sideways period, the market didn't really do too much. There were lower tops on the monthly. We got a higher low form, and then ETH started to break out, put in a higher low and tried it again before it took off. So that's a really clean, easy way to not get the FOMO if the market does start to pump. Start to look for the monthly tops of the market coming in. Look where the swing bottoms come into the market. Are they getting higher? And then look for those pullbacks, for those entry points, which are higher risk, but obviously higher reward. And if you wanted the lower risk, then you wait for the monthly tops to be broken. You can see here there is a top. You wait for the tops to be broken. The next monthly top, broken. Next monthly top, broken through here, and away we go. So that's an easy way to look at it in terms of reward and risk. For girls and guys that are interested in learning how to identify the altcoin seasons, learn how to trade, invest, set up their own portfolios, we have the Investor Accelerator Premium. This is where our members go to learn in detail about trading and investing. Now, the price increase is coming, so if you do want to join us, make sure you check out the link in the top of the video description down below before the price increases. There is a ton of content over there, as I've shown in previous videos, and a lot of success stories. So check it out, link in the top of the video description. Get on board before the price goes up. You could call it the bear market special before the bull market kicks off. So check it out over there, and we'll join you in the members section. Now, one final bonus signal that I love to see for altcoin seasons is the timing of the months. Which months did this occur in? Maybe even which quarters. And if we use Ethereum as a proxy here, there's a pretty clear pattern that the market likes to take off either December or January of the year. So that's obviously late Q4 or early Q1. Now this is the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. So this is the altcoin seasons against Bitcoin value. Remember, we will see prices increase against a US dollar value, but if we want to get that extra big gain, the gain against Bitcoin, then these are the times that has happened in the past. So it's not 100% guaranteed, but it looks like we might be building up to something like that right now. We've been on such a bleed in altcoin valuations against their Bitcoin pairs. There's been a lot of fear out in the market. Eventually, these tides have to turn because people just are sick of feeling fearful. And once you see those little bounces, people don't want to miss out, and you get that little bit of a FOMO. Doesn't mean we're going into a new entire bull market, but we do have to see some sort of bounces and reliefs against the current trend. And like we've seen in the past with ETH, you can go back to almost every single cycle here. December, January, you see the pump up for a few months. Again, January, December was a low, January started to move, big pump up through there. Then the middle of the year comes, you sometimes get a little bit of a pump there, but we go through to the next year. So this is 2017, pump up from that point. You can see the low here is December, January, February top happened again. December 2018 had that little bit of a pump into February. The next low, this was at the end of the, or middle of the year, come into the following year, January 2020, the pump up. Next year, 2021, the pump up. So are we going to see that again? We just saw the top in November into December of 2021. And so we're waiting on the next move like this. Now, I've covered a lot in today's video to determine when the best time is to be buying altcoins so that we don't get wrecked on the DCAing of altcoins all the way down the market. It's proven time and time again that this is an inefficient way to be buying altcoins because there is no guarantee that the majority of these altcoins will see another bull market. Naturally, many people want to learn more, so I've left a link to the stuff in the top of the video description, the Gann swing indicator and TIA premium. That's the education membership down there. That's it for today's video. Join me again on another video looking at the macro picture for Bitcoin, cryptos, and of course the macroeconomics. Like and subscribe if you did find some value from the content. I'll see you guys at the next video. Until then, peace out.